It's Sharon.
It's Beatrice.
And it's Tammy. And welcome back to another episode of
The Uncut Podcast.
Woo! And as you can see by the title, we are joined.
Hey!
You know you people that like say, oh, you guys got a fact check. Why are you fact check?
Fact check.
Fact check.
Yeah.
You guys are not educated. Well,
wait, hold on. Someone said we're not educated?
No,
like,
they never
you know
said
when they're like, you don't have the range for this conversation. Or like
they
say that.
Yeah, they're like, misinformation.
Oh,
yeah. We've had a few of those.
And judging by the title, we are joined by a person that has got all the facts.
Yes.
And the titles.
And the titles and the figures.
Yes.
We are joined by Dr Morine.
Woo! Welcome, Dr Morine.
Welcome. Our first
Thank you.
female guest in the studio.
Yes.
Look at that.
So true. And I'm
Yes.
happy that it's a doctor.
Yeah. You better.
Cool. So just before I get started, just want to read some of Dr. Morine's accolades.
It's true.
Yes,
So we
before
know
people-
who we have in the
Yeah.
studio.
Yeah.
And we know that what she's saying is
It's
verified.
verified.
Yes.
Because I don't people say, just because she's wearing a red blazer doesn't make her official. People be like, just wearing glasses and blazer doesn't make you official. Well, this time it does.
You're sick. Oh my gosh.
Cool. Anyway, even let me give you a bit of tea. Before we even recorded this episode, I was like, what can I eat? There's so much on this damn thing. Let me just pick out a few of Dr. Morine's accolades.
Yeah.
So Dr. Morine is a highly sought after speaker and writer with 11 years of experience as a nurse clinician, clinician, researcher,
Yes.
and coach in women's reproductive health planning. Can
Praise
we just
God.
give
Praise
Hallelujah.
God. Praise God.
Hallelujah.
Look at my ear.
What do you have 11 years of experience in? You go first.
Relationship issues. Boy drama.
Money problems. Pain and trauma.
Oh my God.
Oh my
Cool.
God.
And
That's
just to give a little bit of stuff as well, Dr. Morine has been featured in the Washington Post.
Yeah.
Well and Good. Modern Fertility. Ode to Us Wellness.
Wow.
And as I said before, she has like a lot of speciality. So she specializes in prioritizing fertility planning, egg freezing,
Yes.
managing infertility,
Yes.
faith, and fertility.
Praise God.
one.
Praise
We need
to
that
God.
angle.
Hallelujah.
We
Yes.
need that angle.
Everybody knows that we are all Christians, and
Yes.
sometimes when we get to talk about things like this, everyone's like, faith and fertility.
Thank
Yes.
you. Double F.
Double F.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Morine, for
Yeah.
coming.
Well,
thank you all
And
for
guys,
having
if
me.
you don't notice by the accent,
Yeah,
she's
no.
not from here. She's from across the pond.
Yes. Took
Just
me
a
a
hop
little
and a
bit.
skip.
Yeah, literally.
Thank
And
you
also,
so
Dr.
much.
Maureen is a listener of the podcast.
Yes.
And that's actually how we got in touch.
Yes.
Yep.
Amazing.
Thank you
It's-
so much for reaching out and so much for coming
Yeah.
on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Like,
Yeah.
I love the dilemmas.
Thank you.
I love what you all are doing. It's
Yeah.
just positive, great
Aw.
fun, and
love
adding a lot of joy to the world right now. And
Oh,
we need
love
that. We need that.
Love that.
Sorry.
Yes. So, I guess let's just go straight into this. So, when we say we're going to do this conversation, have this conversation,
Yeah.
obviously you guys know the dilemmas that we get. They touch on so many different topics.
Yes.
And obviously we be saying our 2 pence, but like Tammy said in the comments, you guys be saying, well, according to my calculation, that's not actually what happens. All these sort of things. So actually, we're starting to realize that a lot of the things that we think are true might not actually be true.
Yes. Yes.
And I feel like this
Just hearsay.
topic,
Yeah.
hearsay, and a lot of just stuff that's like passed down from like maybe even your person, because you're doing this, so that's why you're not getting X or Y, etc. So I think it'll be really, really good for us to start off with a little game where basically Dr. Morine's gonna ask us, because typically we'd be asking our guests the questions that we're flipping it around this time. So Dr. Morine's actually gonna ask us a couple of questions that she feels like maybe a couple like people might actually get wrong, and I we will because yeah, we ain't that smart, so we ain't got no doctor in front of our names. So yeah, so let's I'll pass over to you so you can just ask us the questions, and then we can answer them.
Awesome. Yeah. So when I'm not coaching individuals and couples, I'm a professor. So I'm actually really excited.
Please, where are you finding
the
time?
Yes.
God be making the time. I'm like, all right, God, you want me to do what? All right, let's do it. All right, first question. It's a true or false question. Okay. A sign of regular ovulation is having regular bleeding during your monthly menstrual cycle, your monthly period. True or false?
I would say true.
Yeah.
False. I don't think it's...
The reason I would say true is because why would you be bleeding if you're not
ovulating?
So what is coming out of your system then?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. You're probably right because these are probably things that we...
when you start second guessing yourself.
I'm just saying like what you would expect. I don't want to like do the reverse psychology.
I'm thinking because sometimes I get irregular periods, but does that now mean that I'm not ovulating?
But the thing is, though, I feel like, and I'm going to keep on going, but I just feel like, there's always that whole thing about when you have regular periods, like everything's fine. So like, I feel like it's a good thing though. Like you having regular period means you're ovulating, means everything's good.
She said irregular.
I said irregular.
Yeah, I know. But then I feel like if I'm not having regular periods, I feel like something's wrong. Does that make sense? So like, I wouldn't say that.
Sorry, what's the point you're making?
Because Tammy's saying that Tammy's saying that she's not, like not cheap, but like if you're irregular, but she believes that she's still ovulating. But I'm like, if I didn't see my period,
you would think
something is wrong. So
maybe
you're not
ovulating.
Everything is fine.
Yes,
I'm ovulating.
We're with you now.
Sorry, I can make it confusing at times.
Yeah, no worries.
We're with you, girl.
Well, the answer is false.
Okay.
Point for me.
Because there are some people that'll have like the regular shedding of this, the tissue and the blood and all that, but they're not actually ovulating that month. And so most people don't realize the menstrual cycle involves 2 different phases. It's getting an egg ready and then also getting your uterus and your body ready for pregnancy. And so sometimes they don't always align.
So ovulating is like the egg.
Yes.
Not getting the uterus ready.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my days. So that's why when you're ovulating, it will be like obviously not at the same time as you're having your period.
Exactly.
So like that's like 2 weeks or something after.
Yeah, they ovulation.
Yeah.
Oh my days.
Well, that was my egg, I didn't really deep that it was like my
but is your
uterus shedding.
No, that's the other way. It's your period that's the uterus shedding, but the ovulation is the release of the egg.
Yeah, but
yes. So ovulation is the release of a mature egg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like in my head, I was like, oh, blood to that. I don't know.
Oh, so that means, no. Yeah.
I think I'm just stupid. What was I gonna say?
Not at all.
So the egg is ready, right? But it's not released. Like during ovulation, what is that process?
Yeah, so
what
I can talk about
with
it a little bit later. But
okay.
It's the first half of the cycle is actually getting an egg ready, and then you ovulate around like 2 weeks in, and then 2 weeks after that, that's when you'll like see the blood as well come in.
Because the egg hasn't been fertilized.
Correct. Yep.
Oh, so that's why the uterus. Oh.
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Lovely. Cool.
Awesome. Second question.
Yeah.
What is the total number of hormones
Oh.
involved during the menstrual cycle?
Hormones. Well, I could be
I only know
cranky.
2.
I could be cranky. There must be like 4, 8 in there.
I only know estrogen
I don't
and
know.
progesterone.
I'm going to guess and say 5.
What's your guess?
7.
I'm saying 1.
Saying 1. 5.
Oh!
Extra credit if you can name them.
Oh, yeah.
Estrogen.
That's one. Yes.
Woo!
Yeah.
I don't know. Damn.
I wasn't awake in science class.
Yeah, man, I was asleep.
So it starts with gonadotropin releasing hormone,
Okay.
follicle stimulating hormone, and then estrogen,
Okay.
and then luteinizing hormone, and then progesterone kind of ends
Oh my
it
gosh,
all.
you should have said that.
Yeah.
I
You
thought
said
that
you
was
said
just a
too
men's
earlier.
hormone or something that we didn't have
No.
that. Damn it.
Yep.
would've
So
got
those are
2.
the 5 main ones for the menstrual cycle.
Nice.
All right. 2 more questions.
Okay.
True or false? For women to be diagnosed with PCOS, with polycystic ovarian syndrome, you just need to have irregular periods to be diagnosed with that.
No.
Just that, I would
say
say
no.
false.
Okay,
Yeah,
correct.
false. Okay.
Awesome. And that is a thing I see all the time.
Yeah.
People getting diagnosed with PCOS. And I'm like, oh, okay, what did your ultrasound say? Or what did the blood work say? They're like, oh, I don't know. I just went to my primary care and they're just like, oh, irregular periods, you have PCOS.
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
That means you need to.
when I got diagnosed, I first went to the doctor.
Yeah.
Then I got my hormones checked. Then they said that they were in balance. Then I had to wait. You know how NHS is. I had to wait, and then go into the actual hospital. Then actually like get my ovaries checked.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like they
Use the transvaginal.
that
I've done
and
that
they
before.
used the ultrasound one.
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think they used the ultrasound first. Like, oh, can't wait
Come and see. Yeah.
This is
Like,
gonna
bring
be.
out the big one.
Yeah.
I'll be eating child.
This is gonna be a bit cold, darling.
Yeah.
So
Oh
they-
my
they
days.
did- They did that one, and
Yeah.
then they were like, "Oh yeah, you can see that your ovaries are a bit, you know."
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting.
So, and then obviously I had like I have some of the symptoms. I have like hair growth.
Yeah.
I used to actually have very regular periods,
Yeah.
but
For whatever
for
reason.
whatever reason they started to become more irregular.
Yeah.
And those are like the two, and then obviously like weight gain, but those are like the three main symptoms.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Sharing, I hope at the end of this episode,
Yeah.
people will understand like, hey, I didn't get really comprehensive care. So let me go back or go to
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and we help each other by sharing our stories. And sometimes we
Definitely.
definitely can hold back and
Yeah.
live in shame sometimes.
Are there anything? Obviously,
Can we ask the last question?
but it's related.
It's the
to
PCOS.
Yeah.
Sorry,
What's going on?
I want to finish the.
Am I allowed to ask
I
questions?
want to finish the quiz.
I was just going to say, all of Tammy's symptoms, would you say that that's like the comprehensive list? Because I'm just thinking for people who maybe have not yet been diagnosed, but they've experienced some of the things that Tammy's mentioned, I guess they should go and see a doctor, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. They
Okay.
should go and see a doctor. One, just to, get a formal diagnosis is always good to know. And your treatment plan kind of, shifts based on what you need. And then also if you want to plan for a family, it's good to know, when are you ovulating? When are you not ovulating as well? So to hopefully get everything regular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And then last question, true or false? Globally, Black women have the highest rate of infertility when compared to other racialized or ethnic groups.
Ooh.
I feel like it's probably true. I have no reason for why that would be. I just feel like when it comes to like Black women and pregnancy and all this stuff, like
Really?
yeah, like you know how in the UK, for example, you probably already know this, but if you're a Black woman, you're 5 times more likely to die from childbirth than your white counterparts. I just feel like
Do you feel like infertility is linked? As in like that?
no, I'm just saying that I don't know why I think it's true, but I just have a feeling that there probably is some sort of reason why.
What's the question? Sorry.
Yeah, the question is true or false? Do Black women essentially have the highest rate of infertility?
I don't know, because like what you said in terms of 5 times, is that due to obviously they're not dying because anything that's happening with
That's
them.
what-
I'm not saying it's
Darren's point
linked,
is
by the
No,
way.
no, no. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying that you are saying it's linked. I'm just saying that in the
probably
case
just
that
not
you,
poor
it's probably
care.
poor care.
Yeah,
But this
yeah.
one is actually like infertility.
Fertility, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm just trying to think. Oh, if Black women are not even being seen properly, how are they even discovering the infertility?
Oh right, yeah.
So that's my
yeah, I
angle.
get you.
So I'm like, if the report. So I don't know how. I don't know. I'm just gonna say yes.
Yeah. I think there's probably like something to do with our body makeup and stuff.
But then at the same time, I'm just like, I don't think so.
Oh, what's the answer?
The answer is true.
Damn.
It is
Damn.
true.
Damn.
Yeah. Definitely in the US, we actually have I think a 16 times.
What?
The rate. It's really bad for Black women in terms of
Yeah.
maternal mortality. And then Black women in the US are twice more likely to experience infertility. But then
Wow.
twice least likely to actually seek treatment for it.
Oh,
Even when you can
That's
control
a
for
good
like
point.
finances
Do you think that
as
has?
well.
Sorry,
Mhm.
I didn't mean to cut you, but do you think that has anything to do with like financially, like socio-economic class and all that kind of stuff? Would you say it's linked?
Partially.
Okay.
And part of my PhD work was actually looking at a group of wealthier, high income women.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't seeking treatment because of a lot of it was shame and stigma. They weren't talking about it. And so they're
Yes.
really suffering in silence.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so whereas when I meet, groups other groups like white women and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, I've been freezing my eggs since I was 2021. I've been on this. You know, if they experience any infertility issues, they have a group of people that'll say, no, do this, go to this doctor as well.
Yeah.
But then, you know, when I meet with and speak with like, you know, my sisters, they're just like, oh, I didn't tell anybody. And this has been going on for 5-6 years.
Wow.
And, you know, sometimes even worse, it's male factor infertility.
Yes.
And that's about 40% of the time.
Yes.
Wow.
I was gonna
as
say there was one show on Netflix. I don't know what it's called. It's that like the wealthy people I don't know if it's bling. What's that like?
Oh, it was like the Asian.
Asian, yeah.
Yeah, she went through so many rounds.
So many
Crazy
rounds.
Rich, Crazy Rich Asians.
No, it's not that one. It's another.
Bling
Empire.
Yes,
Bling Empire,
the one that LA.
Yes, the one based in LA.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. And with that one, essentially, like she was struggling to have a child, and the husband's family were like literally talking down on her, basically like shaming her.
Yep.
All the while, it was actually him that had the issue, and she was basically like protecting him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely would like. I see that a lot where actually it's male, like the man side.
Yeah.
And it's not the first thing people think of. Like the first thing people think of is, oh my god, like what's wrong with her? Like, oh my god, she's got issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. It's
Yeah.
Do you
crazy.
think in the Black community, obviously we said that we're all Christians, but do you feel like people are, we just pray it away?
Yes.
We
And
just
that's-
pray it away. We don't need to go to the doctor. We can just go
God's
to the
will.
Lord.
Yeah. And the thing is, I feel like with my faith, everybody has a different interpretation, as you can see, right? We have conservative, liberals, and all that. I feel like God gives us free will and to really explore the options as well. And we're not even talking about like IVF, right?
Yeah.
Which, you know, that really can ethically and morally challenge some people. But sometimes people can't get pregnant because their thyroid hormones are off. Or, you know, they have a fibroid that's just blocking implantation. And so if you just go in for a surgery, remove that, there have been plenty of people who have successful pregnancies.
Yeah.
And so just thinking about, you know, you wouldn't tell somebody with like cancer or high blood pressure not to take their medicine or to get it explored to figure out, you know, why is this happening?
Yeah.
So why is it with like fertility and family planning, there's all this hesitancy? Like,
Yeah.
no,
So true.
the medicine is there. Even if you just try to understand why, right? And don't do any treatments, I feel like that's the first step. And it could really like save a lot of people from a lot of anxiety and depression and isolation.
Yeah.
So true.
100%.
Damn. Well, this episode I know we're gonna learn a lot because even those ones we didn't know none.
So true. But anyway, up next we have a dilemma. Obviously, I've chosen a dilemma that's based on fertility so that we can get Dr. Morine's expert advice. This is a long one, so bear with me. My wife and I, both mid-30s, have been happily married for 9 years. We don't have any kids and don't want kids. We had the what if we accidentally fell pregnant talk before getting married. She told me she wouldn't keep the baby.
Oh.
Yesterday, my wife told me that she's 9 weeks pregnant. She's on the pill, but accidents happen. She said that she wants to carry to term and give the baby up for adoption.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Naturally, I was surprised by the news and her change of mind. I asked her if she considered not keeping the baby. She said that she had, but she wants to keep the baby because she feels a bond to the fetus. It's the way he even called it a fetus. I was like, She told me that she's been researching adoption and learned that the local adoption agencies only accept birth mothers who are okay with having an open adoption. I told her I wasn't really comfortable with this and asked her if she would terminate the pregnancy. She started crying and spent the night at her sister's place.
Oh.
She won't answer any of my phone calls.
Jai.
I'm uncomfortable with this for a few reasons. I was adopted.
Oh,
And
wow.
my adoptive parents weren't the best. I know this isn't the case for everyone who was adopted, but I can't help but have a negative view about it. A few years ago, I tried to find my biological parents and learn my medical history, but I couldn't. I was sore about it for a little while, but it doesn't bother me anymore. My wife is aware of these points. I just don't want to pass my genes on to any child because my genes are a mystery to me. I don't like kids. My wife said she actually would prefer to keep the baby, but she knows I wouldn't want to, so she's open to having an open adoption, which sounded to her like a reasonable compromise. I understand why she thinks that, but I still don't want to have any biological children, regardless of how much or little I'll be involved in raising him or her. My wife takes birth control. My wife takes birth control for reasons other than contraception. If she ever wanted to stop taking it, I would 100% support her. I realize that I'm an idiot for not getting a vasectomy a long time ago, though. It honestly never occurred to me until now. I think because my wife has always been on birth control and she said she'd terminate the pregnancy even if she did get pregnant. I see now that it was irresponsible of me to not get one regardless. I'm going to get snipped ASAP. Update. My wife and I have been seeing a therapist together. We've also been seeing different therapists individually. I eventually started warming up to the idea of being a father. I began to realize just how shattered my wife would be if she gave up the baby. I'd noticed her quietly singing or talking to the unborn child when she thought I couldn't hear. I think this is ultimately what swayed me. My wife is a kind, gentle, intelligent, generous, thoughtful, wonderful woman. She would be a wonderful mother and she deserves to be one. She deserves to have a supportive spouse on her team. We started discussing parenting. During those tense, emotional and heavy weeks, I only saw my wife express a little bit of joy when we talked about keeping the baby. I looked into taking some parenting classes. We haven't arrived at a firm decision to keep the baby at that point, but I would say that that's where we're leaning. Okay, this is the last part. Sorry, it's really long. My wife miscarried 2 weeks ago.
Hey!
Needless to say, she's beyond heartbroken, beyond grieving. I'm in a strange mix of distraught, disappointed, and relieved. Feeling any kind of relief at all makes me feel like a monster. I'm just downright confused and don't really know what to make of my conflicting emotions. I'm doing my best to be there for my wife amid my own confusing thoughts. I would say I don't feel as strongly child-free as before. It's not impossible to see myself as a father. My vasectomy is scheduled for next month. I'm considering cancelling the procedure. I don't want to add to my wife's grief by definitely blocking her chances of having a biological child with me. Am I the asshole for even suggesting my wife terminate the pregnancy in the first place? And am I the asshole if I go ahead with the vasectomy?
Wow.
So that was a long one. And I probably should have actually put some trigger warnings at the start. Sorry. It only occurred to me when I got towards the end. I just feel like there's a lot to cover in that because it just covers so many different things.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any thoughts before I start?
You start.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, go on.
Well, one of his questions was, is he the asshole for asking his wife to terminate the pregnancy? And I don't know, I was a little bit like conflicted. Obviously, as Christians, like I would always say like a baby is a blessing and like, you know, I would love for them to keep the baby. But I think it is difficult. Like if you've already, before getting married, like you've set the expectation of we don't want kids. And if we do want to have kids, if we do find ourselves in this position, this is the route we're going to take. And then one person changes their mind. I feel like that is tricky. Like I don't know what you do in that sort of situation.
Do you think she changed her mind or she just came to terms with her current situation?
I think that's what it is because I feel like with these sort of things, Sha, based on like just what I know other people have gone through and everything, as much as you can talk and plan, until you're in the situation, you don't know how you feel.
That's true.
And I think that's probably what it is because they seem to have been set in their ways. They agreed this was going to be the plan. Yeah. And it's only now when obviously she's actually pregnant that she's like, whoa, I didn't actually realize this is what pregnancy is. I didn't actually know there's a bond.
I would feel.
I don't know how I would feel. So I feel like all those things that kind of contributed to her being like, whoa, like, that's why she's singing to the baby because she's feeling some sort of attachment there. See, I don't think it's as mad. Like, I don't think she did it out on purpose to like set out to be like, I'm gonna go.
And because obviously she got pregnant with like the love of her life, her husband. It kind of puts you in a whole different. It's not like it was one night stand. I just happened to get pregnant. But she's actually got pregnant by her husband. So it's like 9 years. Of 9 years. So it's kind of like she probably feeling a whole other type of connection. This is something that was created in love. Like her singing to the baby, then the husband coming around thinking, oh, maybe I do want a baby. And sometimes a baby can just bring out other emotions that you don't know
Mhm.
exist until you know that you have a child. So that's probably what has happened in this situation. Like, no, they didn't like go back on their word and we agreed this, but circumstances did change. And like you said, if you really didn't want a child, you guys have said vasectomy. He should just get it. And he said that she's taking birth control not only for contraceptive reasons. So I don't know what that possibly could mean, but I just know that if you really didn't want a child, probably a vasectomy would have probably been the best type of contraception for that.
I do believe that he definitely didn't want kids. I think it just didn't occur to him because I feel like sometimes men don't. Did you watch Love Is Blind the last season?
Yes.
So you know that couple. Oh, we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
But you know that couple that he was just like, like I thought you just pop a couple of pills and da da da.
Yeah.
Like, do you know the couple I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So like I feel like. Well, I guess rightly, men aren't like as clued up on like female contraception as probably like they should be. And so he probably just thought like 99% reliability, like I don't need to do vasectomy, like that's long, like she's taking the pill sort of thing.
It happened. It took 9 years to get to that point.
Yeah.
So I can assume that
exactly.
he didn't think. And I think overall, the male partner experience in pregnancy is so different. Like talking to like my cousins or my guy friends and all that stuff, like they really don't consider the baby really real until like it comes out. And like if you see all these like birthing videos, the dads are like, whoa. Whereas for the female perspective, the second we pee on that stick, like our whole life changes. You know, like the decisions that we make, we can't even eat or drink certain things from that moment on.
Yeah.
And so I think what was very interesting, very good is that they had a conversation ahead of time.
So true.
And so they even kind of talked about a what if. And so men can be very literal. He was just like, well, you said you'll do this. So
why are you?
Yeah. And so there's a few things I kind of wanted to point out too.
Yeah.
The fact that a few days of not taking the pill led to this like pregnancy as well. And this kind of debunks the myth that some people are like, oh, birth control makes you infertile. Like it is such a short acting hormone that just a couple days of not taking it, you can get pregnant.
Yeah. I was going to say, like one of my friends that came on the podcast way back, she was talking about her pregnancy journey.
I
don't even know whether she said it was a week or how long it was. But from the day that she said, I'm going to take a break. Some people I'm going to take a break from taking the pill. It should be fine. I've been taking it for how many years? Maybe it's remaining in my body.
Nah.
Meanwhile, that break, couple days later, wow. Okay, it wasn't wow. I know. That was a miracle child. But literally, I hear that a lot. So I didn't realize how short.
Yes, it's very short act, especially the pill.
Yeah.
You know, some IUDs or implants, those could be a little bit longer acting.
Yeah.
Just because even in the ways that they like become effective, it takes a little bit of time for the hormones to get in your system.
Okay.
But for the most part, sometimes when people are like, well, I've been on birth control, now I can't conceive, you probably had that issue beforehand and you never explored it. And that's another reason why I tell people to get comprehensive exams when they're having challenges. Because some providers will just, you know, prescribe birth control just for symptom management. Maybe not understanding like the baseline, what was going on. And so overall, it would be really important to know, okay. And sometimes, you know, even me as a provider, I don't know. Sometimes the answer is, I don't know. I don't know why you're having a heavy menstrual cycle. You know, they've done all the tests, they've done all the exams, and it's just unclear. And sometimes it's like the nutritional level you gotta tackle. But, you know, sometimes, you know, getting on birth control helps with the symptoms, but we can't always forget to figure out, okay, the why. As best as we can find out.
Because I remember in school, like, I can remember like being 13, 14, and like there were so many girls on
the pill.
For like acne,
heavy menstrual, painful periods, stuff like that. I'm like, how like I could not even if I mentioned anything to my mum about a pill.
What?
My mum will tell me if you don't get out of my sight about a pill.
Yeah.
Like hell, like because obviously the connotations with you taking a contraceptive pill
Means you're sexually
that you're
active.
sexually active.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to hear that they're 13-year-old in an all-girls school.
Yeah. I promise, Mom, it's like my cramps.
All the girls are doing it. Well, all the girls jumping off a cliff.
So true.
So true. Yeah.
What do you think about him going ahead with the vasectomy?
So the vasectomy, that's very interesting. I would actually caution the vasectomy. I think they need a little bit more time to talk about it.
Yes.
But if, that is something that's just an option that's coming up, I would actually suggest that he freezes his sperm.
Freeze your sperm.
Yeah, the
didn't
same way you
even
can freeze
know
your
that.
eggs. Yeah. Yeah, it's much
your
cheaper.
sperm.
Yeah, a lot of people, so they just stop swimming.
No, but hold on. How do you freeze? Hold on, wait, yeah, hold on.
The same way you
catch it?
No, I think it's like the same way you freeze your eggs. Obviously, you produce eggs, and then you just freeze them. And I heard that. Well, I don't know if it's the same with men. I'm guessing it is. The younger you freeze your eggs, when you do want to have children, those eggs are the age of when you froze them. So if you froze your egg at 25 and you're 35 and you want to have children, you're going to have 25-year-old eggs. So I'm guessing that's the same with sperm?
Yes. So they definitely have a little bit longer of a fertility window. Full disclosure, my dad had me when he was 58.
Wow!
And so...
Wow!
Yeah, Haitian Caribbean men... They never stop until they can be stopped. But so that's correct. And some people are like, well, is it too early that I do this? Like, no, you can never be too early, but you can't be too late. And so that's what I always coach people through to talk about it and just really put it out there. I've talked to so many women who are like, I wish I just did that. And then some people talk about cost, right? It all depends.
Yes.
Okay, so I looked that up in the NHS system as well. So for egg freezing here in the UK, it's not like a covered benefit unless you have like cancer or some sort of like procedure that you need. Say you need like a hysterectomy or like ovarian cancer and all that other stuff, or any type of cancer. Actually, most chemo medications are toxic to the ovaries and could render you infertile. So then they offer that you could just freeze your eggs ahead of time. If not, I just kind of clicked around different clinics, and it ranged between 3,000 pounds and about 8,000 pounds or so for the process. But thinking about just having that, think of it as like car insurance. Sometimes you'll never use your car insurance for several years, and but if you get in an accident, you're super happy that you have it. And so just thinking about that as a way to preserve fertility and what's important to you. Is having a child that is genetically related to you important?
So true.
I have a question about that. So the cost. So is that just for the procedure? And then so when you're storing the eggs, that comes with like a monthly cost or something?
Yeah, so that will vary. That could be around like $1,500 to $2,000 a year. So maybe
it's actually
100.
not cheap.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was having this conversation with my manager at my old place, like my old job, and she's, I think, in her mid-30s, but she's like on the like career ladder, like wants to like make partner, all that kind of stuff. So she was talking about freezing her eggs. And then she said as well, like, oh yeah, the procedure's like maybe like 3 to 5K or whatever the case may be. She was like, but you have to pay rent for the eggs. And I was like, wait, what? And she was like, yeah, they can't just live there. And I was like, oh my gosh. It's so crazy. Sometimes as well, your company can cover it as well.
Yes, a lot of great tech companies, even like a very popular coffee company offers the benefit. And I've seen women who are, high in the corporate ladder, they'll get a part-time at one of these companies just to get that benefit.
Damn.
Yeah. And I
hear
am
it though.
100% on board.
How much is it in the US?
In the US, it'll be between like $5,000 and like $9,000. And then the fee's pretty similar.
Yeah.
Like no more than like $2,000 a year or so. But now as the technology is getting better and more people are doing it and the demand is there, the price will actually go lower.
Yeah.
So
I think I told myself if I'm not in a serious relationship by 30, I'm
Really?
freezing my eggs. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
After this conversation, I'm even thinking maybe I should even do it now.
Oh yeah, totally.
She said 25.
Yeah.
I'm 27. Please,
No,
I'm 2
I'm
years
saying like
late.
if I like
Not you.
I'm just saying like but if you were to get in a serious relationship, like
now,
in a year, no, not now, like let's say in like a year's time.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you still have the same?
Not necessarily, no. I feel like I would, if I got into a serious... God.
Anyway, it's coming for
every
you.
Every time we talk about this, I just pause to just pray. Anyway, if I got into a serious relationship, maybe like later on this year, like next year or something, then maybe I wouldn't. But even still, you actually just kind of never really know.
No, I think in my set, I would want to try naturally first, and if nothing is popping, hey, yes, then I'll probably look at. I would maybe not freezing my eggs, but maybe look at
if nothing's working. Like
let's say I got into a serious relationship, then I got married, and then I wanted to try to have kids. Probably wouldn't freeze my eggs, but look at like IVF or something like that. But I'm just saying, like, if I wasn't in a serious relationship, freezing my eggs would be like my first thing I'd do.
And I think egg freezing just offers a lot of things, like even genetically based. So I have the sickle cell trait. I have a 3-year-old son. I love him so much. And his dad and I are no longer together, but I became pregnant, and, it's the first, prenatal exam. They're like, okay, did you know you have sickle cell trait? I was like, yeah. And then he goes, oh, me too. Stop. And I was like, that's not something we need to have in common here. And so literally I had to, around like 16 weeks pregnant, I had to do an amniocentesis where they basically put a needle in my stomach, pulled out some of the amniotic fluid. And I swear, I look at my son and people are like, how does your faith in God like not waver? He was in the category where not only does he not have sickle cell, he doesn't even have the trait.
Oh, wow. Praise God. Testimony.
What? My baby.
For those who don't understand, the chances of him not having even the trait is like 25%.
Yeah.
It's low.
It's in the smallest category. Yeah.
That's
wow. And so from then, that's also like, I do this work inspired partly by a lot of other women, but my own life too.
Of course.
And I was thinking of freezing my eggs because, I'm attracted to Black men, and more than likely they're going to have a sickle cell trait, right? And so now I'm actually engaged to somebody else.
I saw that ring blinging. I was like,
he did good. Shout out to Peter. So when we started dating, I was like, can you actually go get tested for sickle cell? And that was a part of our dating process too.
Yeah. I actually just recently got tested because my mum is definitely AA, and my mum was like, I'm pretty sure your dad is AA too, but she was never like 100% certain. I did a chemistry degree at uni, and my dissertation was in sickle cell disease.
Oh, wow.
And so like I'm always preaching about like, you need to know. And like, even though I was like 90% sure, I was like, I'm not 100% sure, and I just feel a bit like fake, being like, everyone should definitely know. And I was like, I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, I paid £150 to find out that I'm AA. Anyway, at least I know for definite.
I know for definite. And I think now, especially in Nigeria, they will actually, when you want to get married, they'll be like, what is your genotype?
And at that point, to be honest, like, not that it's too late. It's not too late, but like, it's also too late because that's the person you want to marry. Like, you shouldn't be finding out then.
But I guess because that's kind of like a rule in Nigeria, it kind of like enforces people
to check ahead of time
because they're like, okay, if we're going down the marriage route, then this is something that is a requirement. So it's definitely good.
And I actually read when I was doing my dissertation that in the UK, when a child is born, your genotype is told to the parents. Like if they have the trait or like the disease, the parents are informed. But even still, I was like, let me just be
It's super important. And some people also think that like just because both of you have sickle cell, like it kind of precludes you from being together. No, just especially it'd be awesome if you found out before even wedding planning. It's like, okay, we know we're going to need IVF because you can test for sickle cell, like embryos. And again, that's like moral and ethics stuff. But overall, you can
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who get IVF that aren't necessarily infertile and have trouble becoming pregnant. But there's like certain genes for cancer, certain genes for like different disabilities that maybe run in their family. So they want to go like ahead of time and just try to pick embryos that don't have that. Then they implant those. And so just knowing that cost will come ahead of time. Maybe you won't have the 800 person wedding. You'll save some of that money or
so true.
Because a lot of people mainly are just caught off guard. And to going back to the egg freezing conversation, I think it's just an amazing way to kind of like get yourself settled so then you can find a partner that you actually really like. You don't
Rather
have
than
that
rushing.
pressure. Yeah, there's so many people who are like, well, I need a baby, I need a baby, I need a baby. You know, it's kind of like something that you can build some reassurance on and really take your time as well. Even if you don't use the eggs, it's just you kind of have that peace of mind there.
Yeah, so true. Damn. But no, I was gonna say about the vasectomy kind of topic. So I remember when we were discussing it because everyone was getting the comments about me. Basically, I think I made a comment basically saying that like it's reversed, like it's not fully.
You can get it
reversed.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak more about that? Like how true is that? Is it? Yeah.
It depends.
Could you also, sorry, just in case there are people who don't know what it is, can you just like explain what a vasectomy is?
Yeah, so vasectomy is basically male birth control that is permanent.
Hallelujah.
It's parallel to or comparable to a woman, cutting her tubes and tying her tubes and stuff. It's basically 100%. It really would have to take like medical malpractice to get pregnant and stuff or impregnate somebody. And so there's all these different, tubes and, the male reproductive system. And one of them that connects like live sperm to the semen fluid is cut off.
Okay.
And so, they'll have like ejaculation as well, but it doesn't contain any like live sperm that can impregnate someone.
Okay.
And so basically they're having people who would get a vasectomy and then say, for example, they had their children, right? And either they get divorced or their partner passes away and then they find someone new who doesn't have kids. They'll often like try to go to the fertility clinic and sometimes they can, not necessarily reverse it, but sometimes they'll go in with a needle and extract some like sperm in that area. And so it all depends on how it was done and how long ago, scar tissue forming and whatnot. Nothing is ever like 100% in either direction. So it all depends on like the urologists and like all the surgeons involved and what they can do. So yeah.
But basically what you're saying though is when you are considering it, you should view it like it's 100%.
It's 100% permanent that you can't go back on. And so that's why I always just recommend people would freeze their sperm
before you go ahead and do it. I see what you mean.
Because there's like not only in cancer, but men can freeze their sperm before they go in the military because different injuries you have. If you have a pelvic injury, if it's just, you never know. So I'm all about if you can prevent it, the technology's there, you can afford it, definitely engage.
And out of curiosity, you might not know this, so don't worry, but is the cost of freezing sperm the same?
Oh, it's so much cheaper.
When there's thousands of them. Thousands.
They just need a little room to do their due. I mean, their storage fees are probably similar, but the collection is negligible.
Oh my God.
So maybe it's true because obviously to get eggs, you're gonna have to do something. But obviously when they can just release.
So egg freezing.
Yeah, it's true.
So the thing with egg freezing that makes it a bit more invasive.
Yeah.
So we talked about the first part of the menstrual cycle, right?
Yeah.
Like ovulation.
Yeah.
On any good month, you have one good mature egg.
Crazy.
Right? And so with egg freezing, what they do is you inject yourself with medication, sometimes pills and all that stuff. It all depends on, what your doctor uses and whatnot. It is really just try to stimulate the ovaries to get as many mature eggs as possible, like in the 10 and the 15, eggs range. So it really makes people uncomfortable and they're getting more full and bloated. And then you essentially get to the end where most of the eggs are mature. And you go under anesthesia and then using an ultrasound and a needle, they go through your vagina and then they extract the fluid from each of the ovaries. So from start to finish is about like 10 days.
Okay.
But it's pretty invasive for whatever reason. We have to go through all this.
Of course.
You can't just go in a room like the men.
Yeah.
But overall, the goal is to get as many eggs as possible because when you freeze them, sometimes when you unfreeze them, not every
It's
one
viable.
is going to be
Remember
viable.
they say, oh yeah, it's not viable.
Yeah. So that's the whole point of trying, like, if you're going to go through that, try to get as many eggs as possible in a safe way. You don't, want to add too much inflammation in the pelvic area. But that's the goal.
It is not easy
At all.
No.
Another thing I wanted to ask you is this whole idea of body clock. And I was reminded of this again when I was reading the dilemma, because obviously at the start they said they're both in their mid-30s. And then obviously we learned towards the end of the dilemma that she miscarried. And I've heard, and I don't know if this is a myth, that like the older you get, the number one, the harder it is for you to get pregnant. Then also maybe the child that you have may not be like healthy, or the case there may be complications, may not be healthy, and also the chance of miscarrying increases significantly. So yeah, I don't know if that's like true and what this whole body clock thing is like.
Yeah, so we're born as females with all of our eggs that we'll ever have, and just over time they just reduce, right? And so puberty happens, and we have like really good and mature eggs every month. And then as we get into like our mid-20s, that is like prime ideal time to conceive. I know.
That's my age. That's my age.
But then there is a major drop off around age like 35.
Oh, okay.
And so, but I don't really talk in like absolutes always, because every physical body is different. So I know plenty of people who've had kids in their 30s, but I also know just as many people in their early 20s who have trouble getting pregnant. So, but overall, statistically speaking, if we're looking at statistics, after 35, there is a drop in the number of eggs and the quality of them.
Okay.
And our eggs, hold our DNA. So if the quality is going down, then the DNA is getting a bit more fragile. And so that's why you see like an increase in Down syndrome and a lot of these like physical disabilities as well too. And then our body has a very interesting way of preserving some pregnancies and not preserving others. And typically with miscarriage is usually due to some genetic challenge, or maybe like, baby just can't grow as well because either fibroids or scar tissue, what have you, based on life and different choices as well. In choices, I want to clarify that it's STIs, gonorrhea and chlamydia, if left untreated, that can cause pelvic inflammatory disease, which then leads to infertility as well too.
Wow.
So it's just like a lot of factors, so this is why I really stress of just getting tested all the time, no matter who you're with and how long. I tell married women, single women, just get tested all the time. Me working in healthcare, I used to work bedside as a nurse, needle pokes and stuff. You never know, what I was exposed to. So I was just on it all the time and figuring that out. So yeah, there's a lot of factors, but if we're going to be looking at statistics, that's why there's that decline. There's just a lot of things going on.
And do men experience the same thing in terms of body clock? Like their sperm is just healthy?
Of course they don't.
No, yeah, their fertility kind of lets off late 40s, early 50s. Yeah.
Dang.
So yeah, theirs just extends longer.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, go on.
No, I was just going to say about the body clock thing as well, because like you mentioned, actually, I like the fact that you've given the idea about freezing like your eggs and stuff, because people do use that as a reason to just find someone. Like my body clock is coming to the time now. This is the only person that's talking and responding to my text messages. Let's go ahead and have a baby. And it's like, that ain't it.
Yeah.
That's not wise at all. So
do you even want him to be a parent to your
Not
child?
literally.
Like, people don't ask these
forget that.
questions.
People don't even care nowadays.
And their family members. That's who your child is going to be going to spend some summers or weekends with. You got to do the work. Bro. Not a game.
So true. Oh my gosh.
That's actually so crazy.
Yeah.
I had another question actually, because obviously in the dilemma as well, she said about the whole like contraception and like it ended up not working for that period of time, whatever the case may be. I feel like as women, like we're told like, oh, you have to take this contraception, take that contraception. But then there's so many different contraceptions. And then you'll read on the NHS website, well, not me, but some people will read. I'm joking. Yeah. You'll read on the NHS website and it'll be like, oh, this could also lead to blood clotting and this and that,
cancer
and all these kind of things. And then you're just kind of like, they all have like it seems so many issues. So first of all, like, is there a contraception that you would recommend, or is it based on like the person? And also, how accurate, I don't know if that's the right word, is like just your like period app, for example, like, oh, like you're not very fertile this week, or you're very fertile that week, because I know a lot of people do that as well.
Yeah. So in terms of what contraception I would recommend, it varies for everybody and how they tolerate things. So at one point I was on the pill and I always felt nauseous. But then I was able, and I had a really great provider, I was able to go back and figure out, okay, she was like, okay, when do you feel nauseous and this and that? I just ended up having a bit too much estrogen in my pill. And so she just gave me a pill that had a lower amount of estrogen. And then that literally, I just felt like I was walking on the moon. Like, I felt good. And so I would just, look into your family history. If you have sickle cell disease or some sort of clotting disorder in your family, if you're a smoker, then I wouldn't do anything with estrogen in it, because estrogen can lead to blood clots, like you said. So just like the progesterone only pills, or a lot of the IUDs that you see that have hormones, a lot of them mainly just have progesterone in it. If you just really don't want hormones but you need some sort of protection, there is an IUD without any hormones in it, the copper IUD. And so different people like manufacture those, so you can look into that. And then, some people are fine with just doing condoms, and then they do the ovulation trackers as well. So luteinizing hormone, one of the hormones that I mentioned, that's the one that ovulation trackers are keeping tabs on in your urine. And so it's really a window of about 2 days that you're ovulating, and sperm can live in you for about 2 days. So you want to do 2 days before, 2 days after. So if you're doing like the family planning and you have regular periods, and you can kind of figure that out.
So just to pause on that. So you're telling me, if I have sex with a guy and it's outside of that window, you cannot get pregnant?
I don't speak in absolutes.
Okay. Well, the chances
are lower.
Okay.
And some people, that's like, if you have a very regular ovulation cycle, and a menstrual cycle, and you feel like you can do that, that's like, I made this like little ebook too on my website. Like, really, people just need to be more mindful of themselves. What symptoms are you having? What's going on? Even if you're not trying to conceive, get an ovulation tracker. See what day it is.
I think I need to do that, because I don't know about you, but like with me, I love I'm just giving out my whole cycle details. But anyway,
I love it.
I feel like as I've gotten older, my periods have definitely got a lot worse. Like, I don't know what happened, but like, it's just so bad nowadays. Sometimes it's okay, but like, I do tend to have bad periods. And I did have it before, but it's just never gotten better. But then also, I feel like, according to my app, where they say ovulation day, I start to feel a bit nauseous. And I don't know whether it's just me making it up. Because sometimes I feel like there's also like the whole, I don't know if placebo is the word, but like,
placebo.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I must feel sick.
I must feel sick
because of this.
You just ate a dodgy meal. But anyway. But I did actually start to realize, and it actually has been quite consistent, around the time where it says ovulation, like, I feel a sensation.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that could, do you think that's possible?
Am I
making this up? Or?
Yes, some people are like, nope, I'm ovulating from my right ovary today. Like, they feel that pinch.
I sometimes feel that.
Some people feel
sometimes
that.
I feel like I don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah. And honestly, there's a lot of hormones raging. Like I said, 5.
Yeah.
And that's just for that.
Yeah.
And to ovulate, at least 2 or 3 of them are surging at that point. So that makes sense.
Okay.
And so it's almost similar to when I was on the birth control pill that was making me nauseous. It's that surging of that hormone.
Okay.
And so this is why I really encourage people to just know yourself. And I think as Christian women, we were taught to like suppress that.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's saying to go out and find a man. And no, like, just look at yourself in the mirror one day.
Yeah.
Even like study your outer parts and all that stuff. What is normal? What is not?
Yeah.
The colors.
Yeah. I was going to say, I cannot express that enough. Like, I do checks. Like, I talk about this often because I check my body.
Yes.
Every single, when I step out that shower, I do a check. I put my hands up.
Yeah.
And make sure the breast area, I do a check. 3, like every single day. Like, I know immediately something has appeared. that was not there
Yeah.
like the day
Yeah.
before. So like I don't play around with that at all. I can't remember there was like one, you know, there's some talks in school that would just hit you. There was one breast cancer video they played. And I said,
Not me, Chip.
not
Yes.
me.
I'm a no.
I'm a no.
Yes.
So yeah, I definitely have to echo that. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Guys, in
Yeah.
my routine. But yeah, damn.
No, it's so crazy, man.
Yeah.
And like your point as well, like as Christians, we're told like we don't even really have these conversations about sex because you shouldn't be having sex anyway.
Yeah.
So then people are just going off doing their own thing.
Yes.
Oh, I have sperm that makes people pregnant. Oh my God. You know, like,
And how you find out gets kind of weird and tricky. Yeah.
yeah.
What about that one that you said?
Oh,
What happened?
the one where guys,
No, tell the story. Tell the story.
guys,
Oh,
my
wait,
cousin sent
no,
she
you
was
want
on
the
the
call.
call.
No, no, no.
Guys, my cousin sent me this video, and basically, this man, he's like a fertility doctor. I don't know what you call him, but anyway, he had a couple, and they were really struggling to get pregnant, and he like did the checks on the women, did the check on the woman, did the check on the man, and was like, "There's no reason why you guys should not be able to get pregnant. Like everything is perfectly fine."
Yeah.
He took the guy into his office and was like, "What's actually going on? Like, is it that you're like, you know, secretly like doing some sort of whatever?" He was like, "I don't know. Like, I'm putting my penis in her belly button and it's just not happening." Belly button? This poor woman has had to endure hours of belly poking.
Oh my
Yes.
God, does she not know herself?
Clearly they don't.
No, she wouldn't. She
Damn.
wouldn't.
What
she
the
wouldn't
hell?
know what an orgasm
cannot
is.
believe
all that.
Me either.
No, honestly, it's so crazy how
I can't
shielded
even.
What do they
some
think
people are.
down there is for? Decoration.
I don't know.
To we. I
Damn,
suppose.
it's even true, you know.
Yeah, but
Yeah, education it's important. and
education is
and not
key.
everything has to be sexual, right? Like,
Yeah.
why is it knowing my breasts and the shape of them
Yeah.
being sexual? No, that's
Yeah.
saving my life.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
Yeah. Yeah, so
I
true.
hope we can do better.
I was gonna say I have a couple of I don't know. I know you still have
Yeah,
your,
no.
your list, but
I
just
think
in
I'm done.
but just in terms of like just pregnancy in general.
Mhm.
I had that.
What was you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say that we know that women have a pivotal role in pregnancy, which is like housing, I suppose, the
Sure.
baby. But what is men's role too? Because I've heard things
Mm.
like, even if the man is like a smoker, for example, like I think we've spoken about it anyway, like the health of your sperm may not be da-da-da. And we don't really talk about men's role in like pregnancies. We just talk about the women and like how the women have to change their diet and all these kind of things, which is obviously true. But like, do men have like a role in pregnancy?
Yeah, especially the
Yes.
pre, like especially the pre part, obviously.
Pre,
Yes.
during
Yeah.
and post, like everything.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Their health matters as well too, because, like I said, you know, the egg has genetic material and the sperm has genetic material, right? So we need to make sure those chromosomes are as healthy as possible too. And then, really, honestly, a lot of it is knowing family history on both sides. Because you don't know what they're a genetic carrier for. Smoking as well, you know, reduces the amount of sperm and the quality of the sperm. So then you can have, you know, the same disability challenges as well too. STIs in men, you know, the same gonorrhea and chlamydia can add a lot of inflammation as well. And really challenges like the fertility of that male partner as well. So, you know, overall health of the baby, right, comes from both ends. And not unfortunately, but as women, yes, there are certain things we have to consider throughout the entire pregnancy, what we eat and how we exercise and all that stuff. Yeah, and the supplements that we take. These babies take our calcium and vitamin D. You know, there have been some people who lose their teeth from pregnancy.
Oh, my God.
And
I've
so,
seen too many.
you know, making sure that ongoing and then overall, male partners definitely can influence the health and mental health of their partners. You know, from domestic violence, stress, and all that. It's
That's
a lot of
actually
emotions.
Because I hear a lot about like obviously like everyone wanting like your pregnancy to be smooth and like they say like, you know, just make sure she's all good, like you have your part to play. So when you talk about stress,
Yeah.
how does that actually affect like the baby development? Because sometimes you might not actually see or understand why there should be an actual effect internally just based on external factors?
Yeah. So honestly, I find myself as a very confident person.
Yeah.
When I got pregnant, I was so vulnerable.
Wow.
Like it's just on the emotional end. And then my father passed away when I was in my first trimester as well. And my father was like the main one that pushed me for all this school stuff. That was my dad. That is Maurice Cebert. And so not having him added another layer. I moved away with my partner at the time to fulfill his dream. So I was away from my family. I was just so sad all the time.
God.
And not having somebody to kind of bounce ideas off of or even just to listen of like me being irrational sometimes. Like I can't be rational. I can't think how you want me to think. So I just need that support as well. And I feel like my body was like affected by all of that in that moment. I didn't develop full-on preeclampsia, which is like a syndrome. It's essentially a syndrome sometimes of unknown origin where essentially your blood pressure goes really high.
You get swollen feet as well.
You get swollen feet. Your kidneys can start shutting down. And essentially eclampsia is basically getting to the point where you've had a seizure. And so now you could pass away or the baby passes away and stuff. And there's a window from even after like having the baby that this can happen. And so I didn't develop full-on preeclampsia, but I was showing the signs of my kidney shutting down. And part of it, I wasn't really eating that well. I was stressed and tired and felt alone and all that stuff in that moment. And, no shade to him and all that stuff. It was just a lot going on in that time. It was during the pandemic. But I really feel like I didn't give myself a chance. And so when you think of sometimes our sisters, you have men, they're cheating on them. They find out another woman is pregnant at the same time they're pregnant. A lot of drama that happens.
A good example would be like Khloe Kardashian and Tristan.
Yes,
she literally found out that that he'd been cheating or maybe someone was pregnant. No, I think it was when he
she was
cheating.
like a day before she delivered.
Yeah,
that he had another child who was his first son or something like that. Like she was carrying. No. Maybe that was after.
That was the second.
Yeah,
that was the second time. The first time was like she just found out he was cheating and then she went into labor.
And it's just, I don't think people understand how vulnerable our bodies and our minds are. And just to think like, she could just move on. He could just like, no, there's a lot happening. This is the family that you thought was gonna be. And it's all like crashing down in front of you. So of course it's gonna influence.
It's easier to say all of those things when you're like not in that situation. Like people go, she should just leave him, blah, blah, blah. But if you've already planned like your whole future, your whole life around someone, and especially if you're also with a child, it's not that simple just to let everything go and up and leave.
And not everybody has the supports. Like, I just thank God for my sister and my mom. I was just like, this is not working out. We'll figure out custody and visitation and all that stuff. I gotta go home. And I was able to go home, kind of reset, really return to myself. And, this, I feel like, and I did therapy and really talking it out, but think of those women who it seems as though like they just have never been the same after pregnancy and stuff. Like a lot of things happen.
Like, that one UK musician that talks about it on TikTok. Don't say her name.
Sorry.
Like, and I've heard not even just her, but like other women as well, and just have PTSD from like pregnancy and childbirth and don't want to have another child again. It's so scary though, especially like I was saying to my friend the other day that TikTok is good because it's entertaining, but at the same time, we are too privy to too much information. And it's made us a lot more like anxious, I think. But like just hearing stories about like obviously women's like teeth falling out or like people changing a whole different shade of black or
that one.
Crazy.
For me, my big one that I just
the nose.
The turning black.
The milk duct.
The milk
duct.
duct.
Milk duct coming
being
out
in your armpit. So she has to milk her armpit. So much stuff just makes me. And then you're like, I'm doing this for a guy. No. And then I think I got into a conversation with someone like, I think someone tweeted something like, why is it whenever women are talking about like having children, there was like, I don't know why I would do this for any type of like. She's basically saying that she doesn't know why women always say that. Oh, it's for the man. Like if I'm having a child, why does it have to be for the man or like something like that? And I said, yeah, I agree to an extent, but it's one of those ones. It's like I cannot put my body through all of that for just anybody.
Yeah.
Like they have to come correct.
Yeah.
And even if I think they're coming correct and they don't come correct, that's the fault on them. That's different. But if I'm choosing someone, I have to make sure that that person is going to be with me during the pregnancy, before the pregnancy.
That's what you understand
that's what I understand at that time, because anybody, men can just switch up at any time.
Yeah.
But it's very important to choose wisely, and you just don't want to. I couldn't imagine going through all of this. I'm turning black. My nose is big. Like you said that you were at your most vulnerable, and I understand because I have quite a few friends that have had children, and they don't feel themselves. Like it takes them a while for them to get back to themselves, and then when you're going through all of that, then on top of it, the person that you said that is the love of your life, you're the one that put this thing in me, and now you're telling me that. You don't look attractive. Can you make me eggs? And like, you know what I mean? So why would that not stress me out? Like, I'm feeling my most vulnerable. I'm fat. My nose is fat. I'm black. I look a mess. My hair hasn't been done. I can't see my feet. My feet are even swollen. You're telling me my feet. I don't even know what my feet look like. They're swollen. And then on top of that, you're now coming to ask me about eggs. I don't give a heck about eggs. Like I would feel 100% vulnerable. I can just imagine like what women go through with pregnancy, and then to have someone who is meant to be going through this with you, in quotes, because obviously they're not carrying the child, for them to do something, step out on you, or to bring you so much stress, why wouldn't that affect the baby? Because it's affecting you. Anything that happens to you happens to the baby.
So true.
Imagine like, on a normal day without even a baby, can a man not just make you so stressed out that you're in bed? So why wouldn't the baby be stressed out? And they're doing that.
And we have all these podcasts that talk about 50-50, men do this or that. Like, honestly, it just boils down to consistent character. Like, is this person showing you character traits in the dating realm? And having gone through a divorce, and I've talked to my other divorce friends, nothing that came up that led to the divorce was brand new. Like, nothing. I know we're talking about fertility, but this completely like relates. Nothing was brand new. If somebody is lying and cheating and hiding things before in the dating phase, a ring in marriage is not going to change that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So I used to watch The Real. I was like, obsessed with it. I think I watched like every episode.
Yeah.
And Adrienne Bailon, now Houghton, she said on The Real, and I always remember this, that every single one of her divorced friends said that actually they knew like beforehand that maybe they shouldn't be doing this.
Did you say that before they even got married?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
before they got married, like even I think she said there was even like one friend that was like walking down the aisle thinking, I don't know if this is right.
Yeah.
That everyone knew, like all her friends anyway, knew that they shouldn't be marrying this person.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that was your experience as well?
It was.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there was just a lot going on with like my dad passing away, being in like the Christian tradition, whatever. It kind of felt like it was like to cover it up. And there were things that happened beforehand, that literally happened again later on. And this is why I tell people, and it's hard sometimes. I feel like divorced people or single people come off as like bitter and all this other stuff. I don't want to come off as bitter, but I'm like, nah, these character traits, really be real with yourself. And it kind of goes back to the whole body thing, being aware of yourself, following your intuition. And this is something I'm teaching through my son and hopefully future kids. Like if he says he doesn't want to do something or is he scared, I'm never going to force him to do it because that's his intuition. If there's something, you won't get hurt. I can say this as your parent, you're not going to get hurt doing that, whatever. But if it's like hugging people, kissing people and all that stuff, I'm not forcing him to do that, because we have to understand these little lessons that we teach ourselves and our family members and like the little kids and stuff. If we don't honor and respect them, then they really just become adults that don't know how to honor and respect their own decisions and
So true.
intuitions.
Yeah,
So
so true.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That whole thing that you said about Adrian, I remember it always like stays with me as well.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, for you to like know beforehand. And obviously like it's not like you're saying that, oh, you know that it's gonna end divorce, but it's just like there's certain traits you don't feel 100% like right about it. Do you know what I mean? But also like by the time this comes out, it would have been a couple of weeks. But obviously Aloni recently announced that Aloni like I don't know, like she's a
sex and relationships
expert / social media
/ blogger. She's a podcaster as well.
Exactly. And before, like I can't remember how long it's been now, but she obviously announced she was engaged. And then a couple of days ago, she just announced that she's no longer engaged anymore. And she was discussing on the podcast, I think. And long story short, she was just saying I had to just be real with myself. And I just knew this wasn't going to be the person that I was going to marry, and I just walked away. And she said it took a while, like it was sitting with her for a while. But yeah, she just got her stuff. She was like, I have to pick me. Like,
she even said that she YouTubed like, how do you know if it's
Oh,
you
really?
need to break off an engagement? And then she said people in the comments were like, if you're here, then you're probably.
That is funny. But
no,
yeah,
it feels like, I mean, I've never been in that position, but I'm sure it can probably feel like the end of the world then. But my mum always says this thing, and she's like, better a broken engagement than a broken marriage, because ultimately, like, if you're going through it anyway, then it's just like delayed pain almost. It is really tough though. And it's so right, like the Christian community, especially being African and Caribbean as well, like the pressures to just find someone, just get married. Like, it's just like, it's too much pressure. Like, I need time. I need to.
Definitely a lot of pressure. And you just don't want to fall for the wrong person just because you have all these pressures. Like, I would rather be single, not have anyone, and just be happy and living my life. Like, rather than be in a marriage that
to say I'm
married and to have kids with someone where I'm not 100% certain about it. And I'm happy that Aloni like came out and said that she's no longer engaged. And obviously people would shame her and be like, oh, blah, 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 especially because of like, she's a sex. She basically empowers women to just care about their bodies, be what's the word?
Liberal.
Be free, liberal with sex and all that stuff. But obviously she did get a lot of backlash when people heard that she was no longer engaged. But I'm thinking, what's so bad about
walking away?
Walking away. It's like, okay, yes, you've been engaged, but you're still not married. And it's still a relationship.
Made the decision.
And
she
she
could have
made the
stayed
decision.
if she wanted.
Exactly. Like, I'm guessing he still wanted to go down the aisle, and she said, "Hell no, it's not happening." So I think I'm sure a lot of people that are divorced or are probably married can probably say, "I wish I had just broken off the engagement."
I'm envious of her. Honestly, she saved herself. Like, you said, better a broken engagement than a broken marriage, but better a broken marriage than a broken spirit and a broken soul. Because she saved herself from just being unhappy. Like, I was not myself. This fertility goals in the company would not have manifested at all had I just not been in an environment that was cultivating and loving and all that stuff. And so, and this is not anything to like my current relationship. Like, I did this work as a single person. And sometimes people make it seem like, oh, being single, like, why are you happy in that? Like, you should be happy with yourself. You should be very happy with yourself.
Exactly.
So true.
I was going to say, you were talking about your business fertility goals.
Yes.
And Dr. Morine kindly gifted us some fertility goals cards.
I can't believe this.
Thank you so much. Could you just tell us a little bit about what fertility goals is and just how it came about and everything about that?
Thank you. Thank you so much. The website is yourfertilitygoals.com. And so it is a fertility coaching company that I've started because I hear a lot of, I wish I would have known. I don't even know where to start. What questions do I even ask? And so the card deck actually came about because I just love card decks.
Me too.
We love card decks.
Fun. But this is kind of like a low Stake's way of just having these conversations.
Okay.
And so they consider several different areas of parenting planning. So how much money would you want to have? How much money are you willing to spend? You know, would you want to be near family or not? Do you want a child that's like genetically related to you? Do you want to be the one that carries your pregnancy? You know, is that important? And so basically, so as you rank these, you put them in 3 different categories: not important, important, very important.
Yeah.
And so I've actually coached some couples where I'll tell them, hey, do this card deck. And then from there, we're able to figure out a plan. So I did this card deck with a couple. They both had the sickle cell trait. They found out just a week before they got married.
Wow.
Yeah. And so from then, you know, we did the activity. It was very important for them to have a genetically related child, a child that, you know, they carry and all that stuff. And so I was like, okay, so then IVF would be the route for you.
Yeah.
And I did it with my partner, and I found out that he was so open to adoption. And I didn't realize, I would have never had that conversation with him, maybe if I wasn't even in this space. And so, you know, it helps us kind of rank, okay, plan A, plan B, and all that. And let's figure out what the options are. Because not everything is like straightforward. So my goal really is just to empower people. And so I also am like a patient advocate in the fertility space. It could be very confusing. So currently I'm coaching a couple that they need a specific genetic test. And then after, not a bit of a runaround, but the science of fertility and the medicine can be very confusing. They're like, we give up. We're anxious. We're tired. We don't want to make any more decisions. And so they've like given me the release. I talk to their doctors and all that stuff. And then I can kind of present to them a very cleaner picture of all the options. And so that's something that I do as well. And I'm really hoping to venture out to do more trainings with ministers and pastors as well.
That would be so good. Because when you think about people that are getting married and they go to church and they're going for these counseling, marriage counseling, it's actually, it actually made sense for there to be some sort of medical doctor or someone in the medical field in those conversations as well. Because yes, it's all fine. Yes, we're reading the book of Daniel. And we're Proverbs 31. We're Proverbs 31 women. Does my vagina work? Does my vagina work? Can we answer those questions as well?
Yeah, your dick stand.
We need to know those things as well. Because your dick stand. Like those are type of conversations that need to be having. I think medicine is missing in the church. Can we bring that back? Like, they're always like, oh, do you have any suggestions? There's a suggestion box in the front of the church. That should be a suggestion. Let's have those type of conversations because it's really, really important. I like that is so good. Like I'm even gobsmacked.
As needed.
That is actually needed.
For
so
sure.
like how do you go about that? Do you like walk into a church and be like, I'm in?
I have a testimony. Yes, I'm Dr. Morine.
I kind of just share what I do. And I'm hoping to kind of like add it to like my curriculum. I've shared this with my pastors. They're super supportive of this as well. But if people even want ministry training, like divinity schools, seminary schools, I can talk about this because there's so many places in the Bible of infertility, right? Like Jesus' cousin, Elizabeth, and Hannah, praying for Samuel and all that. This is not a new thing. And so, I
just love that the Bible talks
still
about
everything.
Like it's relatable to anybody at whatever part of your life you're in. I just love it. Anyway, sorry.
So it's definitely a conversation to be had, and especially in like our communities where we talk about like curses and all this other stuff. Like, babes, you just have a fibroid.
Girl, you just gotta
let's handle that. But if people go on my website,
it will be in the description
it'll be in the description box, guys.
Thank you. And then there's a place there you can ask. I can do a virtual training with anybody.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So like obviously Dr. Morine is based in the States.
Yes.
But if like people wanted to contact you, whether they're here or in the States or in Bangladesh. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
so true.
you offer virtual training or coaching as well and things like that. That's
so good.
That's so good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So good.
You're a woman of so many hats.
Yes.
So
I love it.
I don't know how you're doing it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Literally.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Thank
I
you
really,
so
I
much.
really appreciate it. I feel like I've learned a lot this time.
So
Yeah.
much.
So much. But obviously, you guys know we cannot end the podcast without doing a song of the week.
Yes.
So you guys know, well, if you don't know, get to know, we have a playlist that's available on Apple Music and Spotify and also on YouTube.
Yes.
And essentially, we add songs to this playlist and every month we have a theme. The theme this month, and it's rounding up, actually,
Yes, it
is pop.
Yes.
So, girls, yes. What songs are you guys going to be adding to the playlist this week?
Dr. Morine, why don't you start?
Oh,
Yeah, you can
I'm
start.
first. Okay, so I was like torn between two of them.
Okay.
You can add two.
Okay. So Tyla and Water.
Yes.
I listened to it on the way here. I was
Yeah.
like, this is kind of pop.
Yeah, it's very poppy.
Yeah.
And she just killed it at the Met Gala in the
She
US.
did.
I was like, oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And then the second one is because I'm from the States, Party in the USA by
Yes.
Miley Cyrus.
Good
Yeah.
Such a
That
tune.
song can get me going at weddings and parties and
So
stuff.
true.
So.
Yes.
Oh,
I
those
love
are my
that.
two.
Dr. Morine on the dance floor.
Oh, don't let these credentials fool you now.
I'm crying.
I'm crying.
Cool, do you want to go on me?
Yeah, you go.
Okay, I'm also doing Miley Cyrus. I've got 3 songs to add. Not
Ooh.
all Miley Cyrus, just one of them.
Okay.
So I'm adding Miley Cyrus, Flowers.
I was going to add that.
Such a good song. I was listening to it on the way here and I was like, wow, she really deserved that Grammy. 'Cause
Yeah.
this song,
Oh.
like even the lyrics, like I can buy myself flowers, like
Yeah.
write my name in the sand.
Yeah. Tune.
The other song I'm going to add is Selena Gomez, Come and Get It. I know
That's
Come
like,
and Get It. Nah, nah, nah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tune, big tune, her in the field running, yeah. And then the last song I'm going to add, I was thinking, is this pop? But then I realized I think it is. Beyonce featuring Sean Paul, Baby Boy.
Really?
That is pop.
Who swear?
Yeah. When you think of Beyonce, majority of her catalogue is pop.
It is.
Is
Yeah.
B-Day, that is a pop album.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It just has like it's just black. Like it's black pop because I was listening to Rihanna on the way here and I was listening to Consideration featuring SZA.
Yeah.
And I was like, they call Rihanna Princess of Pop or whatever. And I'm like, this song, yes, it's pop, but it has like a R&B type of feel, but it's still pop song. But yeah, I'm adding those 3.
Love that. What about you, Sharon?
I'm going to add a lot because
God.
we're coming up to the end of the month. So I'm going to add, I wasn't even going to add this before, but you just remind me. What's my name? Rihanna.
Nice.
What's my name? Okay, and then another song I'm going to add is, I had to actually Google if this was pop, is dance pop, so it counts. Forever, Chris Brown.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we'd have heard like this on like TikTok and stuff. I don't remember how it goes though, but Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. It's like, hold on.
Careful.
You know that. I'm
gonna have to listen to it.
Anyway, that's that one. And then you guys probably won't know this one. I heard it when I was in Manchester last week and I was like, oh, it's a big tune. Feels This Good by Sigala featuring Steph London.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh.
Interesting. Okay.
Bitches.
I'm going to add Disturbia.
Ooh, Rihanna.
Like this is a lie. I'm just literally adding Rihanna.
Now.
And hopefully it should be it. You need.
Is that pop?
Rihanna is
Me.
pop. Rihanna is pop. We can.
What? That wouldn't be pop.
I don't know.
Oh,
I wouldn't
Child,
call
they
that
dragged
like
you for
R&B.
SW.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
wouldn't
R&B.
Oh yeah,
They
it's an
dragged you for
improvement.
I know,
dragged
but you know what? I
Beatrice.
went back to check. Obviously, I'm happy for everyone to say that's R&B, but I actually went to go and check. And
Check.
it's charted in the pop charts.
No. I think what it is that the song was very popular.
Yeah.
But I think like the beat and like the way that the
Yeah.
song is,
Sounds.
it is an R&B.
I get what you
feel.
mean. Because
Yeah.
I went to go and check again because I was like, I need to make sure that I'm not actually like stupid. But again, because I obviously said it's to do with pop, but then I looked at the actual definition of what it means for a song to go and be pop. And basically it has to be a contemporary version of another kind of genre as well. So so that's why. And I think what they said actually is for something to be like considered pop or mainstream, it's about the beat and it's about how the chorus and the lyrics have to be like, it has to be repetitive
I
and stuff
Googled
like
it
that.
today as well.
Which is actually why that does.
We had to do some
research to this, y'all. This ain't no Afrobeat. Choo choo choo. That's my piano. Yeah, exactly. That's my home, which we need to go to.
Yes.
But yeah, so I looked at it, so I was like, okay, I know that it actually is on the charts because that's where I got it from.
Yeah.
But I understand why you guys disqualified it. It's fine.
Disqualified is great.
Dissolved.
Hey, see ya.
I support though. I support.
But anyway, yeah, guys, we really, really appreciate. First of all, we appreciate Dr. Morine for coming down.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All the way,
guys. She arrived yesterday. She's leaving tomorrow.
Yes. This is no joke.
This is not jokes.
I love it.
Totally
but yeah,
worth it.
really, really appreciate you coming down.
Yes.
Please let people know again where they can find you. We'll obviously put your details down below.
Yes.
But yeah, let people know where to find you.
Yep, on Instagram. I actually make a lot of like educational videos on Instagram. Yeah, so at fertility goals, just one word. And then I'm building my TikTok, but we don't know if we're gonna still have TikTok.
So true.
It's in your favor.
Yeah, not sure, how much effort to put in that. But my website, yourfertilitygoals.com.
Yes, amazing.
Where you can see the store, you can chat with me.
Yes.
And, I would love to connect with community groups, churches, everybody.
Yes. Anybody that's listening that you're thinking, oh my God, my youth church or my church will benefit from this. Reach out, guys. Like, come on.
Yes.
Even
this.
like I would say like even schools and stuff because
Yes,
ed at
absolutely.
schools is
It's
so
all about
important.
not getting pregnant,
Yeah.
not what to do to become healthy for pregnancy or
Yes.
figure out.
Please.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. This has
amazing.
been such a
I
good
loved it.
I have been
episode.
so blessed.
One of my favorite episodes actually.
Yeah.
Like for you to be like our first female guest.
Yes, and it's
And
something
then
of substance,
Something
not just
of
talking
substance,
nonsense.
not just talking nonsense about, oh, my husband's
Oh,
did
my
this.
man foundation,
Yeah.
MC50.
Yeah, trust.
But thank you so much,
course.
Dr. Morine.
Yes.
Like we said, all of her details will be in the description box. Your Fertility Goals on TikTok and on Instagram.
Yes.
And this,
Sorry,
Go
it's
on.
just fertility goals on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
just
so
Fertility Goals.
Just,
Yes.
Yeah, at
Not
fertility
just
goals.
fertility. Like
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
fertility
it's just
goals.
Fertility Goals.
Yes.
Everything will just be in the description.
And then the website is your
Fertility Goals. Sorry, child, it's been a long day.
It has been.
But yes, all of her information will be in the description box. And make sure you guys are following us, the Uncut Podcast, on everywhere. We are on Snapchat.
Yes.
We are on Twitter.
Yes.
We are on Instagram.
Yes.
We are on TikTok. And
Yes.
we are also here on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So make sure you are giving us a 5-star rating.
Yes.
Also answering the poll on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Also answering what did you think about this episode on
Yes.
Spotify.
Mhm.
And we are on the road to 100K
Come
subscribers
on.
on YouTube. We want to see a plaque by the end of the year.
guys,
We've been
please.
working like dogs.
I swear.
We've got a doctor in the house.
Yes,
I'm
man.
about to faint. Please subscribe.
Please.
But yes, guys, this has been the Uncut Podcast. We love you guys, and we will see you in our next episode.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.